Hey guys, welcome to Talking with Toxic. This week, featuring Seb and his first appearance on the show, Cousin Borris. Yes, people.
Hey guys. I wasn't sure if you were going to continue on, so I just thought I'd leave that pause there.
Yeah,
Professional as always.
it works. So another episode. I forgot what number it is again. Is this 6 or did we just finish with 6? Is this 7?
This is 7, I'm pretty sure.
Man, we're well underway, I guess.
Yeah, trucking.
So, like always, this is a show where allies from Allies Index, AlliesIndex.com sponsor? Yes? No.
Yeah.
Talk to me about stuff. And we know how terrible the show is when people don't talk to me about stuff. It's just me talking to pictures of people.
Crying pictures of people.
Yeah. So, most weeks we start with video games, because video games is kind of something that I guess most people into geeky gaming do. Like, video games. It's a pretty common thing, so it's a good one to start with. Seb, video games, things with videos and games?
Things with video games. I've not been playing a huge amount of video games. I just keep acquiring them at the moment. Like, I have all the games that we need to start playing on Steam, with more of the QuickTime Blues guys and stuff, and seeing how that goes. But for me, it's really been mobile games this week, which are video games, I suppose. They're more specifically mobile games, but lots of WWE Immortals, which is the crazy fantasy Infinite Crisis Magic the Gathering-esque madness that WWE game, which has just been really simple, tappy slash, all that sort of stuff, but just the aesthetic and the whole thing is just kind of awesome. And I posted a review in the week.
Yeah, review on AlliesIndex.com.
Yeah.
That's when I flashed the logo. Flash!
Now sponsored by Merino Games too, because remember Asking a Dog runs that?
Oh yeah,
he's sponsoring us.
Good time. But the only thing with the review and things of WWE Immortals, it was that we did get kind of tumbled a little bit, which is something that doesn't seem to happen to me very often, because I try to be very safe and so like not offending anyone, not trying to offend anyone.
Yeah, well, you fucking ruined it this time, Seb. Many people's feelings were hurt. Many triggers were triggered.
This is true, and I feel bad because the person that commented, like, I do like their blog and I like them. They seem like decent people, but basically it was a rant about another fighting game with guys who look like they're built to play fighting games and women who are wearing very little clothes, not looking like they're built to fight, which for a lot of games is a very fair and valid argument. But these are all WWE superstars, all based on real people and real actual costumes that they wear. Like, so you might not like how people dress and how people are presented for wrestling, that's understandable. But when they're put into a game, it's not the game's fault anymore. And a lot of the costumes were actually not that revealing.
So they should have been wearing fucking wetsuits when they brought them into the game. It was a game developer's fault. Drop the ball.
I love it.
Yep.
I've got Toxic and Boris here, so I'm being twice as reasonable as normal, because I know they're going to have something to say.
Do they get to wrestle in a chicken suit? Because if so, then this game gets my approval.
One does have kind of raven feathers and stuff. Kind of like, she kind of looks like Mila Kunis as a hag raven. That's kind of how I would describe how she looks. But we have to remember that in wrestling, like, there are people wrestle in bikinis and people wrestle in basically speedos, so it's just one of those things. But it's good, simple fun, and it has crazy kind of superhero fantasy aesthetic, which is just good, awesome scenes.
Yeah, we won't get into the subject of I guess females in video games, because it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, that's a story for another day.
Yep.
Yeah, good times. So Seb, drop the ball. Shouldn't have done that post, obviously.
Yeah, my apologies.
Did you put... I shouldn't say it. No, I'm going to say it. Did you put trigger warnings on it?
I did not put trigger warnings on it. And clearly
Trigger warning
I
wrestling?
done goofed a little bit there.
Trigger warning wrestling's pretty important, Seb.
Yeah.
Allies Index is just going to get, hated on now Bunch of white guys sitting around talking about stuff.
So, Boris, what are you doing?
I've been getting lots of angry hate mail in EVE Online from people that I've killed.
Now, do you want to give us a little bit of kind of context for this? Because I know and I hear a lot about this. You are a bad man online, are you not?
I have stirred up the hornet's nest in EVE a few times with different things I've done, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale. At the moment, I'm in what we call a pocket, so it shoots off from the high security space, which is basically where your NPC guards live. So I'm in the low sec where there's no NPC guards, but people come in to run their quests, and I kill them. Then I take their quest items, so they can't complete their quests, and they send me angry hate mail. Like, there was one guy I killed 6 times in a row in one night. I kept telling him he can come back and he's safe to pick up his stuff, so he'd come back and I'd kill him again.
Now, Boris, these people came to have a good time, and I'm sure they're just feeling really attacked right now.
They were.
I'll stop.
I
I'll
got
stop.
called-
Maybe.
I had a petition put against me to the devs and got called a cheater because someone didn't know that one of the items lets you lock a target faster than normal. And because he was in a very large hull, I locked him in less than a second, and then we blew him up.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, someone put a bounty on not just me, but my entire corporation, so all the other people that fly with me as well. Because I killed him so many times.
You really are
So
a space
yeah,
pirate.
yeah, pretty much. I've been enjoying it. It's kind of like fishing, but at the end of it, you brutally mug someone and take their stuff, and then accidentally burn some of their stuff, so you don't get to keep it all.
It's like fishing, but you brutally mug someone at the end.
So,
Yeah, it's one of the facets of the game. It's oddly enough, it's the one I do when I'm on holidays in it, because I tend to go. I prefer the big power blocks in EVE, joining in the big fights and seeing like all the giant ships. But when I'm on a holiday and a break like now, I'll just go into a bit of low security space rather than player owned space, and yeah, just go in the pirate.
Good times.
I mean, if it's part of the game, like, I mean, it's obviously like people will get mad at you, but like it's part of a game. Like that's like the point, right? It's like EVE is kind of like a simulator in a way, and as in like anything,
It's
there's
a
gonna be
simulation
pirates.
for how bad humans are.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like you can lie and scam, and
I mean, there's like
Yeah.
pirates in real life, so if it's a simulation of space, I'm sure eventually, if we ever end up with like space travel like that, there'll be pirates in space as well.
yeah.
I mean,
This
people
is true.
people should be aware.
But they should, and it's not like when they go to where I am, they don't get any warning that they're suddenly going to be attacked. To jump into the area, unless they physically like tick the "Don't show me this again" box, it pops up saying you are not safe and will be attacked by other players.
Yeah,
So
if it's
they
free for
do-
all space, then that's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
6 times in a row is a little sore.
Well, what was funny was he sent like a little ship through to see if we were there, and I'm like, "Don't shoot it. Let's see if he's stupid." Because I had eyes on the other side of the gate watching that were cloaked up, and so he burned the little ship out. We didn't target it. Then he put the hauler full of stuff through again, and we blew him up again. Like he just must have assumed that we weren't going to shoot him this time. For whatever reason, came through and we blew him up, and he got angry again.
Yeah. See, I enjoy like griefing people like that, but like I take it. I always get in the mindset like if I'm gonna do it, if someone starts doing it to me, like I can't get like too pissed because obviously like I'll do it. Because when I'm playing like an MMO, like I want to be on a PvP server because if I see someone that I can like destroy, I'm gonna destroy them. So like, because I mean I used to do that.
EVE is one giant PvP server, and one of the things is this isn't really what most EVE players would refer to as griefing, because griefing in EVE is usually using a broken mechanic. I'm using mechanics that have been in place for over 10 years, and it comes down to just these players are they're risking their lives going into low sec, and it's not like the area I'm in isn't one that's well known throughout the game as an area that is always going to be very dangerous to fly in.
It's basically flying in a back alley.
When we have gangs come through of other people who PvP and things like that, we have good fights. And like I built the corp I'm in at the moment, we're based around the idea of we're just looking for a good fight. So we'll go off and fight another gang and go and have fun. And yeah, it's good. Like, we'll go out on roams at points, but I don't know. I have gotten quite a few tears and been called names that I haven't really seen since high school, which is fun and interesting.
Cousin Boris, actual blood-packed soldier.
I have got, was it last count, 137 frozen corpses for this last month in my hangar.
It's ridiculous. What about you, Toxic? What are you playing these days?
Not an awful lot. I've been like pretty busy, and I want to come home and play some ESO, but I'm just too tired to put the effort into it. It's not really a game like, I guess, like WoW or something, where you can just kind of like rot your brain out and, you know, just go around and click, and, you know, the combat's a little bit more dodging, and, you know, the story you got to pay a little bit more attention to. So I was like, eh.
I love that these are like negative points.
Well, it's the negative points if I just want to like come home from work and just be like, eh. So I have been playing some APB, which has been pretty fun. All Points Bulletin with a Heartless, and I mean, it's basically cops and robbers, so that's a lot of fun. And I have the car that I have is basically a huge SUV with nitrous and ammo supply on it, so you can get supplied like ammo and stuff. But I use it basically as like a blitz technique, because I use SMGs. So I'll just like blitz the enemy and then just jump out and just start shooting them at close range, because like they think, oh, they're trying to run me over, then I'll just get out there and shoot them. And there was a good game that we were playing. It was a 2-on-2, and all this basically there was this contact that we had to get to, and the whole time we'd been playing, I would try to drive up these stairs, but I would always screw it up and just hit into the side with my car. And we got to this mission where the two people were against. So it was a 2-on-2. The two people we were against were going up these stairs, and these are the stairs I've been trying to drive up like the whole night. I'm like, this is it. This is what all my training has been for. And I just, because the car, the gap on the stairs in the car is like the same width, so there's no room for error. And I just hit it perfectly, go up the stairs and just run them over at the same time. So I get like a vehicular manslaughter and kill them all badge at the same time. And I was like, oh, beautiful. But then the car was stuck in the stairs.
That sounds like manslaughter. That sounds like murder in the first degree.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you could win that in court. It was an accident. I was drunk. But yeah, but then we kind of got ourselves into a bad situation, because the item that we were delivering was in the back of the car, and I was parked on the stairs, so you couldn't open the back of the car to get the bag out. So I had to get back into the car and ride over the bodies again, and to get the bag out of the back. But it's a good game, and it is free, even though I've probably spent more money on that than paid games that I have in the past. So that's what a free game will do to you.
I did that with World of Tanks.
Yeah. Well, it's like a car is like probably like worth like $40 in the cash store. It doesn't have a $40 price tag. It has their like credits, but when you add up all the credits, it's like $30-40 for like a car and some upgrades for the car.
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, you can buy cars in game, but the cool cars you get in the cash store. But like, I'm like, if I'm gonna be putting hours into the game, as much time, if not more time, as I would like a AAA title, like on a console or whatever, why not throw $40 and drive in style? And, you know, yeah, I don't have an issue with it. But that's basically all I've been playing. I mean, I really haven't been playing games apart from that. It's just, I'm hoping to get some gaming in this weekend, but we'll see. We'll see. I got Warhammer stuff that I need to do, but I'll be talking about that a bit later. But yeah, it seemed like a pretty quiet video game kind of week. I mean, there's been no big games that we've kind of played. No, basically just pass the time kind of thing.
Yeah, big mobile stuff. There's a lot of stuff I need to get back to, like the Master Chief Collection need to start, and Shadow Mordor, some streaming and stuff. Need to get that finally set up for the year. But yeah, just been mobile and keeping myself busy.
I just checked out the new Arena Commander for Star Citizen. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, how was
They've
that?
got yeah, it's pretty good. The maps are good. It's definitely taking shape. I am really keen to see a non-PvP side of the game, which is weird considering that I just only PvP in Eve. But that said, everything in Eve apart from PvP is dull as dog shit. But it has been good. I flew my Cutlass for the first time. I'm very good at running to asteroids. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm the best in the clan at running to asteroids
Running into asteroids.
at the moment. I'm not using a joystick setup, so I think that makes a big difference.
So
Yeah,
you're trying to emulate the man himself, because I remember seeing some Star Citizen videos,
Yeah.
and he just kept flying straight into asteroids.
he's not really good. Yeah, they need to put it. I don't think Chris Roberts is perhaps the best player at the game he's creating, which
It's a
I don't know
concern.
if that's worrying or just like, yeah. But it's very good. It's very pretty. The new ship hulls are all very good. It's nice seeing a lot more of them come out. They've got quite a few new ones out from last time I played it, including one of my ones which I hadn't yet seen in the flesh. I'd only seen the concept art for, which is the Gladius, the military grade light fighter, and that's really cool. I absolutely love it. But yeah, it's you can see where they're going with it, and it's definitely looking really pretty. And I can't wait for the next phase of it. I believe that rolls out is the first-person shooter side, and I'm going to be running around turning the gravity off all the time because that looked amazingly fun.
So do we know when that's coming?
I would spitball it at probably close to April. I haven't checked
Okay,
any
not too
official
long.
word. But at PAX Australia, they had said it would be, from memory, first quarter this year.
Okay, and am I going to be able to attempt my Arena Commander at all without my laptop falling apart? Yeah, is there any more optimization been done?
There has been, each patch they put out, they do put a lot more optimization in.
Oh,
I'd say install it and take a look. From when I first played it in the very first version of Arena Commander, my PC is pretty tanky. Like, I run up to 10 Eve clients.
Wow.
And like when we're doing a big op where we're moving everyone's kit from one part of nullsec to another, and I was barely able to get Star Citizen run. I had to turn a lot of things off, but it has definitely eased back a lot more to the point where I think it World of Tanks actually runs harsher on my computer than Star Citizen does.
Okay, that's good.
Do they have like a rough estimate of like how long the game is still left in production?
I believe beta is start of next year. That's the open beta. Closed beta's end of this year, they said.
Fair enough.
So the backers only beta, which all three of us have access to, is end of this year, and that's when you'll be able to fly around and do the mining, the exploration, what have you. And then the open beta will be after that. And then from the end of that, I would say probably about another year.
Because I mean, it sounds amazing. It looks amazing for what they put out, and like there's some ships that I'd be really interested in getting, but there's just no way I can justify myself putting any more money than I have into it.
Yeah.
At this point, because I mean I haven't even I can, but I haven't gone in and actually done anything with. I looked at my ship and then I haven't gone back into it yet. I mean, I'm really looking forward to actually being able to use my ship and fly that around.
Oh, that one's out now. That one came out in the latest patch.
That would be cool. I might have to.
Yeah, all
to take a
the
look at
Hornet
that.
variants are out now. Yeah, some people have invested quite a bit. In our clan, we've got two of the $1,250. I think they were a Corvette. They're now a frigate, so they upped the size of them because they just didn't fit the concept art. So they went up. I think it's 2 ship classes in size.
Wow.
So, like, some of the guys, like, Acebus has a couple of thousand. I know Frosty Buster's got about 2,500 sunk in, and he has pretty much everything except for the frigate-sized ship. He's got one of everything else.
Fair play. Because it's Avatar. There's Dynasty is the group, right? Did you say we had like a working document of the ships and things? Do you have an idea about what kind of armada we've amassed at the moment? Because it is crazy.
Let me take a look. I've actually got a Google Doc spreadsheet that just has it all listed, and we've got something. We've got I think if all of us crewed every crewable point in a ship, just the not even. I think sorry, yeah, just the minimum required crew per ship. We could only all just manage if everyone logged on to fly just Frosty Busters ships.
One person
we have
ships. Wow.
48 players with 108 ships.
Wow.
Yes.
It's going to be bonkers.
A fair bit in here. 17,000 invested in total for the clan, with an average of 2.25 ships a player and 308 crew seats in total.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are being all very civil with this whole Star Citizen Eternal Crusade thing. I was kind of hoping there would be a few more sparks between you guys.
Well,
there's no competition. They're completely different games.
Star Citizen, I always think is more open, but that's because it doesn't go to, as you pointed out, like the one for Eternal Crusade. All the mails I get from them go to my in Gmail into the promotions or social hanger for some reason, but the Star Citizen ones always come to my primary inbox, so I generally tend to look at them more, or at least open them up and mark them as read, so I know that I'm getting them. And they do send out a lot more things, but it's a much bigger company in terms of scale, so they do have like they've got I think it's 4 or 5 studios now, and each one will do a video each week, plus then they have the PR team that does the ask the direct questions to the developers. So they're putting out a lot more, but then if you look at it in scale, I don't remember how many people are on Eternal Crusade. I think it's like a dev team of, was it 17 or something? So it's a much smaller
I think it's a lot
group,
bigger than that. I don't know the exact one, because it's like behavior. It's like a fraction of their, like it's like behavior is working a lot more stuff than Eternal Crusade. So this is a smaller team, but like not like the whole group. But I think it's more than but not it's still a lot smaller.
Obviously, yeah. The whole thing is like all of the companies in Star Citizen are entirely devoted to Star Citizen, so that makes a bit of a difference, and they increase that as the funding goes up. They're up to over 70 mil. I saw this morning.
The issue that I have is with the Star Citizen, and I mean it's not really an issue because I mean people are putting that money into it because they want Star Citizen, they want the stuff in it, but that's a shit ton of money. Like that's, I mean, it's a lot of money, and the money that's in there and what they've released right now doesn't. I mean, I can't really speak because I haven't really played it, but it seems like that's a lot of money. Like, where is it?
A lot of it is because they do post up what each funding thing does. A lot of it's tied into things that they haven't released entirely to us yet, considering the game's not even in alpha. So we've seen the alpha side of it, but they have a lot of it is going into things because they're making 2 games as well. They're not just making Star Citizen, they're making Squad 42, which uses some elements from Star Citizen. But
so it's
I don't
the
know.
single player
is
campaign thing for it, isn't it? Sort of thing.
I will admit it's a lot of money, and I don't have the exact breakdown where it's all going, and I would like to see a bit more transparency with that than just what they've said in the mails and the chat. But then they are still a private company, and there's probably are non-disclosure agreements that we haven't seen. I mean, they're very open with everything else. Everything that is out is open source, and you can go into it. And even before they had the dogfighting module out, I was flying my ships because they open sourced it, and some guy in Melbourne went through and made a mod so that you could actually fly the ships.
Things being modded pre-alpha is hilarious. Wasn't there also some crazy stuff in the code that people had left for someone else? Was like people giving each other coders giving each other grief. It was like just left up halfway the wall. Get this like finished.
Yeah, there's like notes and things in it that you can go through and see. It also has allowed some people to create some really cool art using the in-game graphics and using the Cry engine. So like ships that have landed on planets and things that before they've done it themselves. I think I'd like to actually see how much of the breakdown goes into the adverts they've put out, because every time I look at it, there's 4 more than I expect to be there, and some of them are pretty good, but a lot of them, in my opinion, aren't crash hot. Like the Top Gear knockoff was hilarious. making fun of Clarkson was fantastic, and the pseudo Clarkson was played brilliantly. A lot of them do seem. I think they must be references to things that are very US centric, so I don't get some of the references that are in like the freelancer one. I'm like, this old hard bitten smoking American needs to like just sit down and chill rather than fly his freelancer around. But
I just want to throw out one random thing that I picked up from some of the Eternal Crusade live streams, though. I think some of the team is there. There are some guys that cross over the team, working on both games, which is interesting. There's another reason for some unity. Mm-hmm. Also, I like to imagine you can always put the concepts of them together. You can fly around, pretend you're part of the like you're part of the like Imperial or Chaos space group. And then when your cruiser comes in, you jump out and you're in Eternal Crusade. But then that's just me fluffing two games together.
Yeah. The biggest the biggest worry that I would have with Star Citizen is becoming so huge. Like, the bigger it gets, the more concerned I am that it's gonna fail. I don't want it to fail because it looks like an amazing game and it's gonna be a blast to play. But like, the bigger it gets, like the more you're like, oh man, like if this fails, can you imagine? Like you can almost see it happening to the extent of how big it's getting. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, they've really blown it out, but I suppose they've done that because what they initially promised was on the basis of, I think it was getting 18 million, which they've now got more than 3 times that, so they're trying to then give up that. And I think a lot of the features they have talked about too, we won't see till quite a while down the track.
It's one of the things
I think we'll see the initial release
a lot as well. Like a lot of things will come post-release.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of what they said in the initial, this is what the game's going to be, and then we'll see things patched on afterwards.
I think,
which I'm not against. I'm happy for them to continue to patch it, especially if that means they've got a team there fixing things as they go along and patch, and where B wield the mighty Nerf bat.
Yeah, worst case scenario comes out is like, it comes out, everyone's like, yeah, it's pretty good, but, you know, they say they're gonna add this and they're gonna add this, so you know it's like good potential. It's good like, you know, stuff to work from, and then they drop support, and you know, like that would be the worst thing to happen to it. Is like it comes out and then they drop support.
I'm hoping a lot of this money that they're getting now will go into keeping it supported, because they had said they want to do that, and part of that is there is an optional subscription, which is what that money was going to lead to, was the continuing support of the game. And so a lot of people have actually chosen to subscribe to this game before it's even in alpha. And they do get a lot of content under a non-disclosure agreement ages before we do. And I have meant to sign up for it, but I just really... I've sunk a couple of $100 into the game. I don't really feel like I want to subscribe to it just yet. I will when it goes live, but that's more waiting to see more of it. Because as much as like I don't mind dogfighting, there's only so long I can do it, and there are a few other games that I can play that do that as well. Things like Elite Dangerous, which is not too bad, and not the big thing I'd seen some people talk about where it was going to kick Star Citizen off its throne. I think Elite is very good, but Elite is also very simple at the moment. Like there's, I think, like 10 ships in total in the entire game.
The thing it has going for it though is it's released.
Yeah.
Like,
see, that was the other thing I was going to get to. It is released, but it doesn't feel released. Like they still haven't brought about huge parts of the core game mechanic out, and they're still yet to bring those out. So like running missions is, you get like 10 missions recycled at you. It's really annoying to join a faction at the moment because they haven't fully implemented the faction side of it, and every player spawns in one faction. So outside of the one main faction, there's next to nobody in any of the others.
Yeah, the only way that I would see it dethroning Star Citizen would be in the situation where, you know, Star Citizen's not going to be released until what, a year, 2 years, like before it's released. Like, how much content is Elite Dangerous going to have by then? Like, if they're adding more, like Star Citizen's adding more, like when Star Citizen's getting released, if it gets the same type of release where it's like it's there, but there's things that they're promised that are not there yet. If the other game has a lot more content at that time, you know, in the next year, 2 years time, people be like, well, I'll just play this. It has more content at this point. But I mean, you can't like. I mean, Star Citizen, just the scope of it and the look of it. Like the ships look better, they're more detailed. I mean, just like that is just that's the only reason why I haven't picked up the other one yet, because I'm saving all my space traveling goodness for Star Citizen.
We were credits.
The other thing, I will put a caveat up before this of, I didn't think any of the other parts of the game sounded fun. The only thing I've really done in Elite Dangerous is a slightly lower version of the dogfighting simulator, and that's all it's really become, except that I can then go and manually try and land at a station, which I am still too ashamed to put the footage up of yet that I've gotten, because I'm really bad. I'm not as bad as Frosty Buster, who, when he first tried to dock at a station, shot it and then got killed by the defense turrets. But I haven't been crash hot.
That sounds like my kind of parking.
He's like, oh, I'll just park here. Parking's the U button, right? I'm like, yeah, sure, hit U, which is the default deploy weapons. I'm like, he goes, oh, what do I do now? I'm like, I don't know, figure it out. So he turned around and started firing at the landing pad. But yeah, a lot of it that I've played, and I have only played the combat-based roles, is just the same kind of dogfighting as Star Citizen, and it's even got the same kind of dogfighting mechanics, but there's a lot less missing. Like, there's no electronic warfare really that stands out, and there's less ship types, so you don't run into as much. Even at the moment, Star Citizen has just those few extra ships that are combat based that really turn the game around. So you've got very unique types, whereas apart from the noob ship you start in, which is called a Sidewinder in Elite Dangerous, you can pretty much sit in the next one up, the Viper, and just take on anything and not care in the world and never have to change, and you only really see the same 4 kind of targets.
Did I just hear a spacecraft called a Viper? Because that just makes me excited, regardless. Because I'm just thinking about Battlestar Galactica now.
Yeah, but it's definitely not as cool. They use like lasers and stuff.
Okay.
Right? That's the thing that I was like looking at Elite Dangerous. I'm like, man, they use lasers. I want to use like machine guns and stuff. Because like that's what Star Citizen has, right?
Those are pretty good.
Like,
yeah, they do have those in Elite. They're called autocannons, spelt like they are in 40k, and they're all right. But I mean, all autocannons generally look the same, and all the weapons kind of look the same, and they feel the same. So you only really have autocannons, a couple of different types of missile. I think there's 3 types of missile, and then there's 2 types of lasers, and that's it. And it is a remake of a very old game, and they've stayed very true to that very old game. It's a game that came out in the mid-80s, and they have basically just given it a hype, like it's the HD remake. And as the HD remake of a game from the 80s, it's really good. And if you come in with that mindset, it's fantastic. But I'm not sure it will stack up to things like Star Citizen down the track.
It's just the
without
breadth
a lot of content being dropped.
Yeah, just the breadth and depth of Star Citizen, the world, and just everything just seems to be insane detailed. Like it is a universe and a thing that breathes and just fully exists.
As long as it becomes a thing.
As long as
as long as it becomes a. But even just going off the fluff and the background to it, I couldn't tell you very much about Elite apart from there's a group called the Federation and a group called the Imperials, and they don't like each other, I think, but if you shoot at them you can still get a bounty, and it just ends in tears. Whereas with Star Citizen, you know, all, like, there's the background, there's that colony that got destroyed, and the Vandal were on the insurgents, so Operation Pitchfork's going ahead and we're going to push them back and retake everything, and there's like all those fleshed out alien races, and I mean they're even making languages for it.
That's some Tolkien level stuff. Although now you've just mentioned Elite Dangerous, the Imperium versus the Federation, I just have this image of Star Trek versus 40k.
Do you know if Star Citizen is going to have character customization or not? Because I know that Elite Dangerous does not. It's just...
yes, Star Citizen will have very in-depth. You start off by going into a toilet and you either choose the male, the female, or the other, so you've got the different gender options. Then you turn to a mirror which is fogged, wipe it, and then you do your character customization, they've said. So you basically choose your character off that, and you can even choose your heirs, because of course there is the death mechanic in Star Citizen where you become, if you die too many times, your legal heir, and so you can remodel yourself down the track as well.
That's very cool.
Yeah, because
So if new things come out, you can edit yourself with that. And as you get damaged, you will pick up scars that you can't get rid of over time, like robotic limbs. So your character will also suffer age and wear.
So Fable mechanics.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because yeah, the other one does not have character customization. So as soon as I figured out that, I'm like, because even if I don't see my character like Eve, I would still want to customize my character. Even if it's just for
a character in Eve, it doesn't do very much. You can walk around a very small room.
Yeah, and you have like your profile pic, I guess. But yeah, like even if it's just that, I still want to be able to customize my character. Like, I mean, it's just part of it. But I know like what they were saying for.
One thing I have to give to Elite is their random name generator is fantastic. I love it. Like their random NPC names are great. I've killed Benjamin Sisko, Catherine Janeway, Fidel Castro, Hugo Chavez. Yeah, they've got a wide depth of weird people. Honor Harrington, if you ever read those book series, is one of my personal favorites. As soon as I saw her and that she was a wanted person I could shoot at, I literally rammed Paul Virus out of the way to rush over and try and get the kill. Virus wasn't impressed. It took a bit of explaining and a lot of apologizing.
Oh man, good times.
Yep. So we should probably start moving on. I'm sure you'll probably talk about Space Sims for a while, but moving on to I know Seb, you want to talk about card games from Magic to something a little bit different.
From Magic, something a little bit different indeed. Yeah, well, I'm gonna start with at the weekend. Yeah, I'll start with the kind of the U, and we'll move to yeah, the rated R plus stuff. But so yeah, the weekend I got to play both Love Letters and Citadel for the first time, which are your kind of card game, board game type things, which is good fun. Love Letters is you have the different characters of the court, and you take a card each time, and each character of the court has kind of an effect. So you can either say, I think you've got this in your hand, and if you get right, they're out of the round, or you swap cards, or you compare cards, and whoever's got the highest value wins, and it's the last person in the round gets a love letter token, and eventually with the one with the most, you set a limit. They have wooed the princess or the queen, and it's got kind of cool, kind of like Japanese-esque kind of art and stuff, which is really nice. And then Citadel, which has kind of similar mechanic in the fact that you are each turn everyone drafts and they played a different member of the kind of town, from the assassin, thief, king, merchant, and you get gold, or you use actions based on the character to build up your districts, and the first person to build up 8 districts ends the game. And it's good fun because you're killing people or stealing from people and just building stuff up or blowing stuff up, and you could be a different character each go, so you get to do a variety of different things, which is awesome.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's good fun, and it's good fun for all the family, because we were playing with a friend of mine, Liam, and his 2 kids who are like 8 and 11, I think, and so everyone's involved and everyone's having a good time, and that was good. Other than that, it's been magic. We had the pre-release the other weekend, and that really has kind of kicked us up the arse and really got us involved and loving Magic. We're watching the Star City Games opens. We've been streaming and playing at the same time, and then I had to, because we were streaming and Sarah was not playing, I downloaded Jaws the Planeswalkers on my phone, so now I've got the Xbox and my phone, and then also watching it streamed on the TV, and we've got EDH going on. Like, yeah, Magic's kind of massively taking over my life.
Seb, I know like Allies Index is all about geeky games, but you're a fucking nerd amongst nerds. I mean, like, you watch Magic while you play Magic, and then when you don't have anyone to play Magic against, you play Magic with yourself while you watch Magic?
Well, actually, it's funny that you say that, because also sometimes when Sarah doesn't want to play, I'll take her deck and my deck, and I will literally play against myself with 2 actual decks. So yeah, I heard I liked Magic, so I got myself some Magic so I can Magic while I Magic. That's how I roll.
I have to admit, I actually watched some of the Magic videos on YouTube recently, some of the weird ones, because I was after seeing a lot of your posts, Sid, but also after a discussion with some of the guys that I play Eve and Infinity with. We're all talking about the new Magic release.
Yeah, Fate Reforged is good fun. Dragons. Who doesn't love more dragons than ever released in a set?
Oh, so this is the Skyrim edition.
It's kind of Genghis Khan meets Skyrim, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting like I'll probably just get a fat pack. I probably won't buy a box, but I'm looking forward to get some of the new cards. But I play EDH, pretty much strictly EDH when it comes to Magic, so there's really no need for me to keep up on the new cards in a way, like, because I can just, I don't have to worry about them going out of rotation or whatever. But I have built a new EDH deck. It was Una, Queen of the Fae. She's black blue fairy wizard, so very awesome. Basically, pay 1 blue, 1 black, and then X amount of mana for exiling X cards from someone's library. Pick a color, and then you get that many 1/1 fairies for the amount that were exiled. So, because the group that I play with is very competitive. Like, the games don't go on forever, and there's infinite combos and mean stuff like that. Like some games are almost to the point where you don't even worry about life because no one is trying to win by killing the other person with life. So it depends on who you're going up against. So I try to make my deck somewhat competitive because I'm not planning on winning all the time, but I want to be able to keep up. So I got 2 infinite mana combos. Rings of Bright Earth and Basalt Monolith, and then Pilipala and Grand Architect. Then I have my Enter the Infinite and Laboratory Maniac combo, which is draw myself out to win the game. Then I have Intruder Alarm with Marinara, however you want to pronounce him, which is basically if you have him, 2 rats, and Intruder Alarm, infinite rats. So I took my rat deck and mixed it with my blue deck, and that's how I made this. So I was playing today without my combos because they haven't arrived yet, and I was like, we'll see how it goes. And it was like the best EDH game I've played like to date. I was going up against a Shroom deck, like a what do you call it? Artifact deck.
Alright.
Do you know Shroom?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't really know the rules of her. I have it's basically I think she gets artifacts from your graveyard, kind of thing. So you play with a lot of artifacts. And the game went on for a long time. Right at the start of the game, like early on, my opponent, it was just a 1-on-1. My opponent played a card that I forgot what it was called, like Omen Engine, something like that, where it was players can't draw at the start of their turn, exile the top card of their library, and then play it if you can, without the cost of the mana. So it's
not playing stuff for free from other people.
Yeah, it kind of screws you over though, because if you say, counterspell, there's nothing to counter, fizzles and gone, or brainstorm, well I can't draw, so that's useless, because the card just stops drawing. But I got an Eldrazi. So those things like huge drops. So I was like, oh sweet, free. I got Ingaruk's Wake, which is like a 9 drop. So I was like, sweet. So I got some good ones, but then so did he, because he can do it as well. And I got Una out. I did get her out 3 times. I think she cost like 14 or something at the end of the game. But I managed to exile his entire deck. But because you're exiling and not drawing, you have to wait for them to draw to draw out. So I managed to destroy that that card that was allowing us to play for free, basically. but then he got it back out because Shroom got it back out of the graveyard. And so he stopped himself from drawing. So he had no library, but he couldn't draw, so he couldn't draw himself out. And then I got him down to 1 life, and I still ended up losing. So because he copied my Eldrazi, and we swung back and forth for a while, and I just didn't have I wasn't drawing the right cards, and it got to the point where I had to top deck, and I pulled like Gilded Lotus, and I'm like, well, that's gonna help me block, and that was the game. So it was a really good game, and I'm loving the new deck. And I mean, when I get my combos in there, it's gonna be even better, because not that I'm gonna be, I haven't built it around like getting that combo to win, but I just want to have them in there, so if I manage to get it, like, I'll win the game. Although Unid won't win you the game with her ability, because she'll wipe your, even if it's infinite mana, she'll wipe your deck out, and you don't have any cards, but you can't draw someone out by exiling, so you just have a whole bunch of flying fairies. Because if there's nothing,
yeah, the whole army of like little flying thing is going to be nasty though.
Plus, you end your turn, and then it goes to their turn, and they draw, and they can't. Yeah. So, I mean, you're pretty much won. But so yeah, so that's what I've been doing with Magic. So I haven't really been worrying too much about the new release, but definitely been making that deck.
That's fair, but yeah, we had a bit. Oops, sorry, Ross.
I was going to say, I'm very slack. The last deck I bought is still in the 2012 core set.
We need to get you playing some more, because you got some interesting stuff.
I really want to. Yeah, I really want to. I keep looking at it, like, it looks awesome, but then I look at also, I just fear that cost investment. I've been burnt by things like GW and stuff, and I'm very worried about the way that it all works. I need to probably sit down with you guys later and actually talk through the difference between standard and constructed and things.
Yeah, no, that's fair play. I always think that Jules Planeswalkers, the latest ones, are always a good way in.
I always play those games. I always buy those.
Yeah.
That's about, yeah.
But we've been playing a bit of EDH as well. My Sultai zombie machine not quite firing yesterday, but then because basically Rosie has his dragons, and he has all of the dragons, and it's just horrible. Just flaming death everywhere. So both Sarah and I switched to both our fun police kind of enchantment and stop everyone doing stuff deck, but still he changed to a white deck and was just slaughtering his own Pegasi on such a grand scale to draw cards. It was ridiculous. And then attaching double strike swords to them, somehow either strapping them to their hooves or maybe hilt up the bottom, and just dealing horrible amounts of damage. So yeah, he took the day.
I really want to send you my Infect deck just so you can play it against your gaming group to see what happens. Like, just so you'd be like, I mean, they'll probably kill you, so I mean, maybe I shouldn't, but, or at least, you know, ban you from playing again.
It's hate of the game. Hate happens a lot. Unfortunately, it seems to happen to Sarah a lot, because like, so one deck she's got Anafenza, and a bunch of us have got stuff that affects the graveyard. So everything gets exiled. All creatures get exiled with Anafenza, which is out. So everyone hates on Sarah. And then she just built one which is Meletis, who's the guy who cannot be blocked by power 3 or greater. And he also gets to exile the top card in the library and then play it. So, just hate for horrible cards and horrible mechanics like Infect is what would happen.
Well, it's aggro decks. I mean, they have that. I mean, it's difficult to win with them at EDH because you start doing damage and people will take you out. Like, I mean, if you want to win, you're probably going to be running a control deck or, you know, something like, you know, like a slow bone. You know, kind of, because, like, I mean, if you play, like, an aggro deck, or, like, what they call, like, a Voltron deck, I guess, you know, like, people are not going to like you.
Well, because I want to build a Mardu deck. I'm thinking probably either around Alicia, who smiles at death, or Zergo. Probably Alicia, because she's a bit cheaper to cast, but I'd like to see a kind of aggro soldiers, warriors, bit of Boris stuff in there. Not Boris, that's Boris. And the, like, a Crone and Auroras type stuff.
Zogo's the one that's indestructible on your turn?
On your turn, yeah. And then Iros makes everything indestructible while attacking.
I would run him, because I like the idea of a Zogo deck where you have an insane amount of board wipes in your deck. because you're just like, your turn, you're just like, well, he's out on the field, board wipe, take your turn, everyone puts like their cards, and then you're like, your turn, oh, another board wipe!
Yeah.
So you just have insane amounts of board wipes, and then on your turn, you just clear the field. I don't know if it would work, but like, it would be cool to just, you basically nuke the field, but your main guy is just like, I don't care, I can't be killed on my turn.
That'd be awesome. So. Also, good at what you said about all the control and counter stuff. We've been watching a guy called Jim Davis, who's doing really well in the Star City Games Open stuff, and like he's just playing blue-white control, and he just does nothing. He just keeps his board, just keeps his mana base growing. He will draw a few cards if he needs to draw cards, but he'll just wait for you to do anything and stop it.
Yeah.
So just every good card from your deck is gone. He can put something down and he'll kill you. And it's just, obscene.
It's terrible.
It's not what you want to come up against, but it's wonderful to see that so beautifully put into action.
Yeah, it's boring. Fuck him.
Speaking of being beautifully put into action,
and fuck him.
Yeah.
Furoticon, Seb's new favorite card game and hobby.
Oh man, this was a surprise.
So Heartless and I came up with a little surprise for Step, Wraith, and Sebastian, and it was Furoticon, which, if you don't know that, it's a card game, a furry card game. Not just a furry card game, it is like a rated R furry card game. It is...
Oh dear.
It is based around, like, you have a harem, and you're like the main person, and you have to show how good your harem is by sending them to your opponents and making them climax. What happens though is, like, you get your creatures out, which are basically like your harem workers, I guess, and if they get blocked, I guess, like, using magic terms, like, if you block them, and, you know, like, if a creature gets, like, taken out, instead of dying, they climax, and they have to go rest on your couch, which is your graveyard. It sounds ridiculous. It really sounds ridiculous. It has a lot of kind of magic aspects to it, as well as other games. It sounds ridiculous, and it is pretty ridiculous. But it's actually a pretty fucking good card game.
It's ridiculous how good the actual mechanics are, but how kind of just shocking. And because, like, I don't want to put this out there, like, I don't really understand the fairy thing, but if you do the fairy thing, like, I'm not judging. That's fine. What you do in your own home, that's all good. But
or at a convention,
yeah. But it just seems very bizarre and was very amusing for us, and that just seemed incongruous with such a decent kind of meta and game mechanic. Like, it's very weird.
See, I don't even find it weird. Like, I understand it. I completely understand it. I mean, there's stranger things out there. But, like, the cards, like, to me, I wouldn't even say I would play it more if it didn't have those, like, those pictures or, like, the idea behind it. It's fun enough to play. Like, it's so ridiculous. Yeah. Like, if you're not into, like, that aspect, it's so ridiculous to play. It's fun, and it's especially fun when you have someone like Wraith who just is, like, so, like, negative or against stuff, and you're like, I'm gonna send Kaduyu at you. He's gonna basically tentacle rape you, and you're gonna enjoy it. Yeah, one of my creatures that I had out early game was called Kaduyu, which is basically Cthulhu, but he will do you, and it was brilliant. Seb gave him First Strike, but it's not First Strike, it's called Generous, because he will pleasure you first. And it's like, it makes so much sense! Like, it's a mechanic and it makes sense! And you're like, this is... It just works!
And did you have, like, dominant and submissive?
Yeah, you have... Yeah.
Yeah, it's... But it's just really interesting. Also, just, like, speaking of just about the game mechanic stuff, I like the idea of having your 10 mana or whatever it is open, so you can cast things as and when you like.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to lay the.
It's basically like having. It's basically like having 10 colorless mana every turn, kind of thing. Like, you have 10 colorless mana every turn, and then you have to play just your, like, colored mana. That's kind of what it feels like. Like, the colorless comes back And yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's also interesting that you have to pay to draw.
Yeah, paying to draw and paying to put down the coloured lands. They're almost like artifact land, aren't they? Which are, which are sexualities, essentially. So they've got sort of the male, female, hermaphrodite, and then otherkin.
Yeah. Which, if you think about this, like, this game is kind of like, is very open, like, towards, not just, like, sexuality and, all that. It's also just open to, it's not gender specific or, even, like, race specific. Like, it's...
or animal, genus specific.
Like
it's the perfect game for Tumblr, and we were like, I'd say in many ways, and like that may sound like I'm taking the mickey, and I do love Tumblr. But before, I know we've said a few things about how people can get a bit ridiculous on it, but yeah, it's a game of loving anything, really. Yeah,
there's no death, just good times. If you lose, you win. And the way that our game ended was just so fucking ridiculous as well. Just a big circle jerk on step.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was ridiculous fun, and it was an experience to say the least.
But haven't you already started building yourself another deck? You look like seriously ready to play again.
Yeah, because it was fun, and like the only issue that I had with it was that it was too, like, you couldn't summon stuff because the decks weren't balanced, because it was just Heartless throwing cards into a deck.
Yeah.
But if you actually built a proper deck, like, we're interested in seeing how it works, like, with an actual proper, like, deck build. So.
How does that sound to you, Boris? Fairy card game.
It's different.
Restraints from the man.
I'm trying to be nice. I don't have anything against fairies. It's the mechanics all sound pretty basic. It's a very interesting sounding game, and I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
In terms of, it sounds like definitely like a beer and pretzels thing you can sit down and play.
Yeah. It's got that kind of like Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic sort of all put together kind of thing.
I played one of those games, so yes.
Apparently, it's pretty big in, no surprise, but like convention scenes. Like, people play it at conventions.
I thought you were going to say Japan. I was like.
Yeah, it's an independent game. It's, you buy it through a special, like one of those publishers that they take, like, you just upload your stuff and then they like print on demand. But like, they have like sets and like stuff. Like, it's, I mean, in terms of independent games, it's pretty big. And I mean, the thing that, because afterwards, like, Heartless and I were talking, and we're like, if we upload this and like make a video out of this, like, this could be a thing, because that's like, no one else is doing that stuff, like, in terms of video. It's like let's play, furry yiff game.
You got off the Magic the Gathering version of Etsy.
Yeah, like, it's like it could be, like, it could catch on. Like, what if it catches on, and like that's the video we put out that opens up QuickTime Blues to like like we're like, man, that's a very real, because like, we have Minecraft stuff, we have Worm stuff, like, that's like, people, that's already out there. Like, how many Minecraft Let's Plays are out there? Millions. Yeah, it's so we're like, man, that could be a thing.
Yeah. Just playtesting, like, indie games that are really kind of out there could be some good fun.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a laugh. I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought. In fact, it was better than I thought, and it was fun. And I love having someone there playing that just, I wouldn't say like not open-minded, but aggressive. Like, just aggressive. Like, not against anyone in particular, but just about everything. Like he was drinking to like suppress memories of the game, and I was like drinking because I'm like, fuck yeah, if we're gonna do this, let's make it a fucking party.
He was hitting the jack hard. Yeah.
So that was interesting, but
everyone knows the only real memory scrub is Bundy.
Yeah.
Bundy Red or Bundy OP, you won't remember the night.
good time.
But
Get that. Yep.
yeah, I think the only other thing that I needed to touch on was some just some housekeeping stuff in terms of things that are going on with Allies Index and posts and stuff. So is there any final words, final thoughts before we wrap things up?
I just had CanCon, which was pretty big in the tabletop scene. It's Australia's biggest event, so that was fun. 2,000 plus people in a giant tin shed, and they didn't turn the aircon on, and it was humid and hot and terrible. Big shout out to everyone who, like myself, was smart enough to bring a can of deodorant through a giant tin shed of 2,000 sweaty gamers. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not pointing fingers,
Like,
but like a lot of game stores actually have to put up like stuff saying like, if you stink, we'll fucking kick you out. Like not in those words, but like, so I'm sure that place is probably a little bit rank after a while.
I think my senses just dulled and turned off.
just overloaded and
like,
just
first
shut
hour,
down.
So I just yeah, I couldn't taste things at one point. That was interesting.
Oh. But you,
But,
there's a bunch of great pictures you've put up on alliesnnx.com, right? Of
Yeah,
games,
I
things you've
did.
played.
I played my 3 games of Infinity because sadly I was in hospital the next day, so I missed the second day of it. But I was in the really the Infinity Nationals for Australia, and it was really good. We the company was very supportive. They rushed a lot of stuff out to make it in time for CanCon, which was really awesome to see, considering they're in Spain. They're not Australian based, and they were really pushing things out. And they on I think it was Wednesday they expressed a box to get there by Friday for the event organised with all the prizes that they were putting in.
That's awesome.
And so it was some of the boards that had been donated were donated by sponsors who make terrain. There was there's quite a few pictures up. There's one there that you can see. It's like looks like a Mars level from Mass Effect. It's all like really intricate and multi-layered, and like you can put your arms through things, and all it had functioning lifts for the model. So like to go up the building, you could get in the lift, and it moved up the different bits.
That's awesome.
And yeah, like just Infinity. This is my first time playing the new edition, so N3 dropped late last year, and there were a lot of production issues because it sold out before they'd even finished printing it. And they really were rushing to meet demand, so it was really fun to play that and to see there were a couple of rules in N2 that didn't work so well that are now fine-tuned and work perfectly in N3. And seeing the new army lists and things was fun. I played a faction I've actually never played before, but I'd had the models for and painted for some time, so finished painting those up and took those out and had a real blast against 3 people I'd never played before. I did feel sorry for the poor last guy who was kind of had a harder time with the scenario because the event organizer hand makes the scenarios, and there were sentry guns he just couldn't deal with because I killed all his heavy weapons. And so on his turn they'd reactivate with full, like, because they respawn every player turn. So I'd take them out in my turn and get the victory points for it. Then they'd respawn in his, and they'd just gun down his units and then touch them. So I thought, and like when he wasn't, like when they weren't in my turn, I would keep his units pinned down with flamethrowers and rocket launchers and things. So it was really kind of harsh for him. But
That sounds epic, though.
yeah, it was good fun. I watched vicariously while I was off the pictures of day 2, and it looked amazing. Sadly, Victoria did take the event. There's quite a rivalry, with states in Australia of who's going to be the number 1 spot, and I think for the 3rd year in a row, Victoria has taken it.
Right, you guys need to set your game up.
Yeah. We did on the Saturday night too. We did go down to my local pub, which is just near the event, and go and have dinner and drinks, and everyone catch up. And it was really great to catch up with a lot of the people that I only really knew as forum names. And in the Facebook group that we've got is very active in Australia for Infinity, and even has the Corvus Belli staff all in it. So it was great to actually catch up with all these people I'd only ever really talked to in that, and sit down, and we basically filled a sports bar full of geeky gaming.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty good. Grabbed a few pics of some of the other events. Asking a Dog, who is also on Allies Index. He was playing Epic. He got a heap of stuff as well.
Yeah, there's some epic pictures of his epic stuff. I'm just looking up on the site now.
I don't know if he's uploaded it yet, but he got this coin that the guy running his event hand minted. It's like the coin given to each legatus as they take over their Titan.
That's awesome.
And like he'd had it, like both sides were etched, and wasn't. I suppose it was obviously machined, but they're proper metal, and it was really cool. And every player who went into that event got one, and made me quite jealous that I'd gone in and I hadn't got that. But I will say I did love my Infinity and some of the crazy stuff that went down.
Nice. Representing.
Yeah, I didn't have my Allies Index shirt on, sadly. That arrives tomorrow. Once I ordered it just slightly too late.
Sad times, but
I'll have that for WinterCon, which is in July.
Awesome scenes.
Seb, any final words for you?
No, I think I'm good. Magic, Furoticon.
Yes. So, stuff that I guess I've posted and stuff that we will be doing. Seb and myself will start our campaign, which would most likely start as just us having some games, and then we'll bring in a couple other people, maybe for a game or two. We'll find someone to do some fluff writing, so we'll probably do our own little bat reps as well. But we'll have some talented writer write off some fluff pieces. I put down my challenge for this year. Obviously, last year I did the 24-hour painting challenge, which was basically get everything done in 24 hours, that was streamed the whole time. This year I want to do 12K in 12 months, which we'll see if that's a thing, considering all my long-term challenges to myself fail. So I posted that the armies would be Astra Militarum, Space Wolves, Dark Elder, and Chaos. So I'm swapping out Dark Elder for Necrons, purely because I want to do a different kind of painting technique on each army. One, because it'll add more to the challenge, especially when like posting videos and articles and stuff about different painting techniques. But also because some painting techniques are just faster than others. So for instance, my Chaos are going to be painted in my normal painting style, closer to how I do my commission painting. The Astra Militarum will basically be that too, but they'll have a lot more weathering techniques, mostly because it's just going to be just tanks. And then Space Wolves, I'm going to be doing the Army Painter style, so the dipping technique, which I really like.
The style I use, it is amazing. I love that.
Yeah,
Miracle Dip all the way.
Yeah, I really love it, and I support it because it works amazingly. I just don't. I don't do it enough because I mean, there's only so much detail you can do in that way. Like if you want to get some stuff painted fast and have some good quality models, like that's the way to do it. But obviously, like if you just paint like regularly, like you can get a higher quality. So like I normally I'll start and I'm like, it's not the way I like it. But I'm hoping now that I'm going to be putting so much on my plate, I'm to make up time, I'm going to be using it. And I've always wanted to paint an entire army with that technique because, I mean, it's a great product. And I buy it and then I do like one model and that's it.
I've used it for 2 bolt action armies and they've turned out looking amazing.
Yeah.
I used the Army Painter undercoats as well, just so I could get all the uniform colours, and they turn out quite well.
Yeah, Army Painter stuff is great. And then the next technique, I'm swapping out Dark Elder because they're a bit fiddly with Necrons, because 1, they're getting released, and 2, I can continue with my Rust Necron painting technique, which is to use Rust. If those of you who haven't seen it, it's Rust. You go to a hobby store, you get a rusting kit, which I guess is like to kind of weather stuff. Like I don't know what you would use it on, but which basically you paint it with like a lead. I don't know if it's not a lead-based paint, but like that's sounds dangerous, but like a metallic kind of paint, and then you cover it with this stuff that enhances or speeds up the rusting process. So the paint itself rusts over, and then obviously you don't want to stop there, so you spray it with like a matte finish, like a matte varnish, and then you can paint on top of that, like dry brush some metal, so it doesn't look just like a big chunk of rust, and they work out really good. I've painted up a bunch of, I think, 20 Necron Warriors probably about 2 years ago now, and I'm looking forward to doing that, because I know it's really easy. So
Rusty Necrons just sound awesome.
Yeah, so that's gonna be pretty fun, like to have the one just painted regular, one painted regular but with some weathering effects, the other one with the army painted method, and the other one with the rust method. And that's, so it's 250 points a month for each army, so it should work out about a unit or two. So I mean, it's gonna be tough, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it, but we'll see what happens. Well, considering it's what's the date today? The 26th for me. So the month is nearly over and I haven't started. So
just paint a bunch of Terminators.
Well, I have my Chaos HQ done already, so he's pretty much like 250 points. I don't know what Necrons are gonna be, because they haven't been released yet with the new codex. But I have like 20 warriors painted up already, so that's lazy. The Astra Militarum, I'm only painting tanks because I'm going to go Unbound Tank Company. So, one tank.
Baneblade. There you go. Baneblade, problem solved.
It doesn't even need to be a Baneblade, just a Lehman Russ with some stuff on it. I will be painting a Baneblade, though. Definitely. Each army I want to have a Lord of War in there, because that'll be fun. And then, what was the other? Space Wolves. Well, Army Painter is super simple, so spray, paint, dip, spray, and highlight if you need to. So
You're filthy.
Yeah.
the only issue I'm having is the bases. Because the new base sizes, like the 32 mil bases now, so I don't know if I'm going to be doing bases. I may
buy the lit bases from, I think it's Back to Basics. The Warmer Hordes ones end up being about that. I think they're like just off 32.
What I was looking at was that there's someone does, I mean, obviously they're not going to be the quality there, but they're laser cut wood bases, and you get like 50 for $10. And I mean, once you
Back to Basics does that as well.
Yeah, I mean, once you put on like all your little like basing bits and stuff, like who cares what the base is made out of, as long as it's the right size. So, and if it's not the right thickness, just glue two together. I mean, I'm not too worried that I just might not base the armies for a while. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting to see those changes. It's alright. It'll be good to see. I'm very keen to see all these units now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just feeling
inadequate.
Ridiculously inadequate. I was like, so I did just about got away with 500 points last year, and I was like, I'm definitely gonna do 1,000 points this year, and that's awesome. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna do 1,000 points a month. Screw you. I'm like, oh. I don't even know why I bother. Because I was also gonna play you in the campaign, and you're just gonna jump up and down in my head.
Well, that's another reason why I made the change, is because originally we were doing like an escalation kind of build and then play, build, play, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll play whatever I want to play, and then I'll just make sure as long as I'm doing something, it won't feel as bad. So, because then we can get some more epic campaign missions going, as well as actually making the armies. And I mean, I'm really excited. Another reason why I backed away from Dark Alder though is because honestly their line is a little bland.
Shit.
I mean, the Raiders, the Raider, and like the Raider looks like the heavy support with just some extra guns on it. I mean, I really like Dark Elder, and they definitely are one of my favorite armies, and I mean, I kicked ass with them in 5th edition, but I don't know, maybe I need to let them stay in 5th edition and move on, and I had some good times with Dark Elder, but we'll see.
I'm intrigued to see what the Wolfsmith thinks of this, because I know she's still a big Dark Elder fan.
I mean, I love Dark Elder. I love like the look and everything, but I mean, I think the models are fine. I just think if you're getting a big size army, like if you're looking at 3,000 points of Dark Elder, I mean, it's basically like a raider, unit of warriors, raider, unit of witches, raider. Like, you know, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're playing Space Marines, you can, you know, you could run a squad on foot if you wanted to, and they could be just as, you know, not just as effective, but they can be fine, you know, on foot. But Dark Elder are so squishy, you need to put a vehicle for everyone. So you end up with just a boatload of the same vehicle, the heavy support choices, which are just that same vehicle with sponsons on them. And it's like, do I really want, like, if I'm trying to get myself motivated to paint that much in a year, I want to be painting something different each month, you know what I mean? And then have some variety. I don't want to be painting the same thing over and over again. And yeah, so I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Dark Elder. They're definitely one of my favorite armies. And 5th edition, they were my thing. I took them to tournaments, just everything. Painting, we did a painting league with them. So I love the Dark Elder, but I'm just not feeling it for this specific challenge. Even though I have a succubus arriving in the mail tomorrow. I already started buying them, and I changed my mind.
You succubus.
I sold my Tau,
Oh,
so
dear.
that's a thing. So I'm going to be getting some models shortly. But yeah, so that's basically all I kind of wanted to touch over. Is just we are planning stuff. It's just taking a little bit slower to get the campaign going because we don't want it to fizzle out.
Yep.
Oh,
So
I've got the slow grow this year as well for Warmer Hordes that I'll be documenting. Now I've actually not on horrible shift work, seeing as I've gone back to being a terrible student. So I'll have that. I really want to run Kador, but I always run Kador, and the guy organising it kind of said, "Don't you just always run Kador?" So I might run Legion, which I've actually got now 70-something points painted, which I know isn't what a journeyman league's about. So I'll either run my COC or my Crix, or find something. I did already have like my army for every stage of it planned out, with the models already purchased and based and just needing to be painted, but I'll see what happens.
Awesome scenes. Look forward to see some of that. So everyone's going to put me to shame. I'm going to paint 2 or 3 models this year and be happy with it. Alright?
good job, Seb.
Thank you.
Go play some Furoticon. Anyway, that about wraps up today's show. So, you know, if you're still watching, thanks for watching. And once again, with me today has been Seb, the king of nerds, and cousin Borris, the deadly space pirate. So, yeah, and I've been Toxic. You know, check out alliesindex.com for more geeky gaming goodness. And have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.